distraction, that is when God can use you the best. And so, my first point is be comfortable with yourself. Find yourself. Be comfortable in the calling that God has given you. Determined to be happy in your situation. Verse 24 of 1 Corinthians 7. But let every man wherein he is called therein abide with God. I love those three words, abide with God. Now, I live in 526 East River Drive. I don't spend a lot of time there. Usually just to go late at night, sleep, and then very often the office the next day. But that's where the word abide really talks about where your heart is. Not so much where you are, but where you'd rather be. Abiding with God. Talks about in Psalm 91, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Be abiding. That shadow talks about how it's a shade in the heat, where you stay with God, and you're with God, and then the heat of the world, and the heat of the flesh, and the heat of circumstances come, and then you just get into that shade. Oh, it feels really nice, it feels really good, it's not so bright, and you're protected. But the funny thing about a shadow is, you're not in the spotlight. You're in the shadow. You don't get the glory, you don't get the people looking at you, but you abide with God. And what God is saying is, make sure your heart is right in whatever calling you're in. First, find yourself. Be happy in that. Somebody said, when you're in the valley, farm them. What? You know, mountains, valleys, mountains, valleys. Mountains, yeah, wonderful. Valleys, oh, things are tough, things are bad. Mountains, I was already a gym valley. Okay? When you're in the valley, farm them. Make the best possible situation out of them. Some people think that if there was an absence of loneliness, then I would be happy. Don't make the absence of loneliness a requirement for happiness. Did you know the potential of misery in marriage is greater than the potential of misery when you're single? Now, don't know if I said that. Why is that? Well, if you're single, you're the only one that can make you miserable. If you're married, there's another person that they can make you miserable if they want to. You know, the only thing worse than wishing you're married is being married and wishing you weren't. And some people wrap up their whole hope and desire and future and potential and everything in, if I can find him. Now my wife started taking him. Oh. Yikes. But you know, in the closest of relationships, loneliness is going to be present no matter who you're with or what you're doing. Some separation occurs, some misunderstanding occurs, some waxing and waning occurs. But I encourage you, don't label yourself as a victim. Look at every situation and be happy that you're in that situation and look for, like a kid in the candy store. What can I get out of this situation? What can I possibly make good from this situation? Find yourself. Find yourself. Number 2, fix yourself. Fix yourself. Verse 31. And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away. The fashion of this world passeth away. All the things of the world are going to pass away. What's going to endure? Your character, your godliness, my relationship with Christ, how I am used of God to serve Him. Fix myself. Now let me encourage you also in this idea of fixing myself. start a ministry for this group and that group and this group. I have no problem with those. But my advice is, what is the church doing? The church is promoting a relationship with Christ, a relationship with my own heart, and a relationship with others. I don't see how that's different with each group. And what happens is we want to try to fix the situation. People say, well, I'll quit this church and join that church, and I'll quit this job and join that job, all in an attempt to fix our situation. But that really should be our focus. Our focus should be, what does God want me to do? How does God want me to be inside? And how does God want me to react and interact with other people? But I say fix myself. Well, in Zambia, because we didn't have, I'm going to tell you a couple stories about myself, okay? Which is sworn to secrecy. Because everybody thinks I'm cool and wonderful here and they respect me. So don't tell any stories about me. But no, it's not funny. In Zambia, because I didn't have a local church that I could attend that was, in a sense, on my education level. I mean, hey, the literacy rate is like 60%. I mean, 60% of them can't read. Most of them only been in first or second grade. Very, very limited. So when I went to church, it was not among my peers. I'm not just trying to be funny about it. That's just how it was. So we would go home and we'd go on holidays and we'd go to Christmas with our relatives. We didn't have the interaction with other people. It was just me and my wife. And so we became weird. Now she would say, no, you became weird. No, but probably we both did. You come up with these wild ideas. I wonder, if God made Adam, and then God made Eve, and then you have Seth, and you have Cain and Abel, and I wonder where the sister came from, and what, and he went to a far country, and you start talking about these weird things. Why is that? Because when you have a church, when you have people getting together, I have kind of like a wart on my arm like that, and I have this weird idea, and I go over and talk to her, and she says, boy, that's stupid, that's weird, and I just rub it off. Then I go over here, and I fellowship with this person over here, and I say, hey, I got this plan. I think it would be really good if I moved up north and quit my job, and I visited those people up there. There's 3 people that I need to witness to, but I think I'll just forsake everything and witness to those 3 people. She says, you're crazy. You got a good job, you got a great family here. Why don't you give money to the missionary and they can do it? Oh, that's probably a better idea. I appreciate that. You're helping me. You're helping keep me balanced. When you are single, it's harder to do that. It's harder to stay balanced in your life. When I come home and I talk to my wife, and I say, I got this great idea. I think it would be really cool to start a parachute ministry. Go up into the plane and jump out. We have these parachutes and they say, Jesus loves you. But it could be like, you love Jesus because they got mixed up and stuff. And she's like, no, really, don't say that on Sunday morning. Please, don't say that. Oh, okay, I appreciate that. When you don't have that, when you don't have people to help you, when you don't have people to work with you, it is more difficult to stay balanced. And so my advice to you, if you are 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, 24, and you are hoping to get married, that's wonderful, that's great. Here's my advice to you. Take a month and act like you're married. Wash every dish. Don't eat out at all. Keep every room clean. Keep a schedule. Go to bed at the same time. Don't stay up till 3 and watch TV. What you're doing is you're keeping yourself ready, not in balance. People who are married don't stay up till 3 in the morning because they can't. They get kids, they get a husband. They're balanced. They have a scheduled life. Now, if you're in a situation where you're a little bit older, you're a widow, and you have no intention to get married, that's fine. But remember, sometimes the talking that happens among the elderly ladies is detrimental to the church. Why did they build that building? Why did they start that ministry? Why did they spend the money the way they did? I can't believe that. And because you don't have somebody at home saying, hey, what are you doing? Stop messing with me. There's nobody there to cut the rough edges off. There's nobody there to balance that. You're responsible for that. And if you recognize that and accomplish that and do that, God is able to use you in whatever He wants for the future. He's able to use you through that. So, fix yourself. Fix yourself. Then find someone to give to. Find someone to give to. Verse number 34. There's a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman caring for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married cares for the things of the world, how she may please her husband. Now sometimes we get this idea, again, if you're single, then you're more godly, and if you're married, you're not. That's not what Paul is saying at all. Let me just say that during this time, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, there was an immense persecution that was happening. They were taking Christians and they were killing them. They were taking them and putting them in the Colosseum. These lions were killing them. And what he was saying was that if I'm a single pastor and there's great persecution, I'm able to preach and do whatever I want to do and go on the sidewalks and highways and hedges and preach, thus saith the Lord, and if they kill me, no big deal. But if I have a wife and kids, I have a duty to them. Does that mean I change my preaching? No. He's just simply saying there are other considerations. That's all. So he is not pitting unmarried and single and this group and that group. Oh, these are better than this. No, he's not saying that. He's just simply saying, if you can take time to care for the things of the Lord and use your position to the best of your ability. So, he makes these statements. He says, care for the things of the Lord, that he may give himself, let me quote it correctly, that